Hello everyone, what's up? It's Zachary back again with another video. Or should I say, bonjour. That's when you say oui. It's like y'all don't even know French. And I was on TikTok this morning and I saw a video of someone teaching how to make a beret. I almost said baguette. I'm just super French. And I will put their TikTok username. I was like, you know what? I want to make a beret. So now I'm making a beret. So since I have watched that one TikTok video and I'm also a little tiny bit French, I don't really know the exact percentage, but there's a little bit of French in here somewhere. So I don't know what could make me any more qualified to make a beret. So let's get to making the beret. So she starts by having two circles with a diameter of 12 inches. I've got my two pretty much identical circles cut out, and next I need to find the circumference of my head, which I'm going to measure with my little measuring tape, and then based on that I have to find the radius to cut out the hole that my head will go in. So I'm going to go measure my head. I have to look in a mirror for this. I'll be right back. I got a little bit under 25 inches for my circumference. Yeah, I got a big head. What about it? Now I have to divide. I do not know this by heart. I just had to look it up. How I go from the circumference to the radius. So I need to divide 25 by pi, which is 3.14. And there's some more numbers, but I don't know all that. So it's 7.9577. A bunch of numbers, so it's going to be like an 8-inch circle basically, and then cut that out of the middle of one of these circles. Successfully cut that out, and now it's time to cut my fabric out. So I'm going to have to cut 4 pieces total, so it'll be one of each of these for my outer fabric and then one of each of them for my lining fabric. So I decided for my fabric I'm going to be using the scraps left from these pants that I made into shorts in my thrift flips video. So it's gonna have a seam in the middle of it, but I think that's fine. I don't know, it doesn't really matter that it has a seam in the middle of the hat. Yeah, I like the fabric. It's like a corduroy kind of vibe. And then for the lining fabric, I'm just gonna use this fabric that I had cut to use for something else, but it didn't end up working. It's just like a stretch white, I don't know, fabric that I got in forever ago for some random project I never ended up doing. So yeah, I'm going to use this for the lining. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead first start by cutting out my main fabric. Got the main piece cut out. I'm going to iron it before I sew it just so that I get those wrinkles out. And I actually just had a stroke of genius because I think what I'm going to do for the lining, or for the small piece, or the piece with the hole cut out of it, I am actually just going to cut this pattern piece in half and then place it right along that other cut, so that, because otherwise it doesn't fit on the same piece. I'd have to cut basically this whole piece again, just for I'd basically be wasting the whole inner side, which I could use the bigger fabric for something else in the future. So I'm going to cut this piece in half and then just get it from these little pieces right here. I'm not sure how well you can see that, but... And then I'll just sew them together, which works great because I've got the seam already on this top part anyway, so it'll match up. I'm just going to add a 1/2 inch on each one just so that has the seam allowance to be sewn together. But yeah, that's my plan. I'm actually going to cut out the lining first, so I'm not going to do that on the lining, and I just don't want to cut this and have to put it back together and everything. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the lining piece, starting with the big circle. One of the things that I had an issue with this fabric before was that it is so stretchy. I don't think it'll be too much of an issue, but I'm also going to be using the walking foot, which I'll show you in a little while. So that will hopefully help keep it from stretching too much. Alright, got my big circle of the lining cut out. I'm going to cut the donut out of the same piece of fabric. I wish I had a donut right now. Comment your favorite type of donut. Coincidentally, mine is the French cruller. I'm just so French, you can't even handle it. Sorry. Alright, we've got the donut cut out of the lining. Okay, so I've got my 2 halves of my donut. I'm going to bring back in the corduroy fabric. This side doesn't fit along the circle here, so I think I'm actually going to use the smaller piece on the bottom here to cut the 2 pieces out just so that they're symmetrical. I'm just going to kind of eyeball that extra 1/2 inch for the seam allowance. Alright, I've got my 2 half donut pieces cut out. I'm going to go ahead and iron all of the corduroy pieces just so they're nice and flat. And I will see you at the sewing machine. Welcome to the sewing machine. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is sewing the 2 pieces of the circle back together. Or I guess together for the first time, but to create this full circle. So I'm going to start by doing that. Got those 2 sides sewn up, so we've got our circle together, and I'm gonna go ahead and iron these seams down, and then we'll be putting these 2 pieces together. Now I'm gonna be sewing the 2 corduroy pieces together, right sides together, all the way around the edge, around the outer edge. I'm not gonna pin most of it, I'm only gonna pin right where the seams are, because I want those to match up as perfectly as I can get them to match up. Now I'm going to be doing the exact same thing with the lining pieces. So for this part I'm actually going to use my little walking foot attachment, which I have to take off my regular foot and put this on. Basically what it does is kind of how the bottom of the sewing machine pulls the fabric as you go. This basically mimics that exact movement with the top so that it will evenly feed. It's also called an even feed foot. So yeah, it'll just help, especially with this fabric where it tends to slip a lot, and it'll help it kind of stay on track and help the pieces stay where they need to be. So I'm gonna go ahead and switch that out quick. My camera died for a second there, but I finished sewing those pieces together. Not my finest work. This fabric just kind of sucks to work with, but definitely went better than the first time I tried to sew with this fabric a while ago. Next, we're gonna be attaching the lining to the main fabric, and we're almost complete. So I've turned the lining set right side out, and I'm going to put that inside of the main outer fabric, which is still inside out. So it kind of looks like this now. And now I'm going to pin this inner edge with the same equivalent edge of the lining fabric all the way around, and I'm going to then go ahead and sew pretty much all the way around. I'm going to leave about this much or around that much not sewed so that I can flip the hat right side out, and then I'll just hand stitch the rest of it. Also, in case you're wondering, I'm using a zigzag stitch at this point, which I did for the white part as well, just to kind of aid with that stretching a little bit. Okay, so I've got it all flipped right side out. I'm gonna just go ahead and hand sew the little part that's left open quick, and I'll be right back. Hey, so it's all sewn. So I did in fact try it on while I was off camera, and I'm not really sure what went wrong, but something did, because it's literally a pancake on my head. Pancake vibes. So I was thinking of how I could potentially fix it, because it's not okay right now. What I'm gonna try to do is kind of fold over this part here, and basically where the seam allowance is, I'm just gonna sew along this edge. So it'll have a little white band around it, but I think that might make it fit my head better. My hopes are not very high right now, sadly. My French roots are not helping me right now. Okay, so I think that's definitely going to help. See, now it has that little band around it. But I think what I'm going to have to do is cut the lining out, the rest of it, because now it's too tight in there. Now it won't go on my head even if I try. So I'm going to cut that out. So, good thing I took all that time to put it in. I'm going to expose the raw edges, but you know what, no one's going to see it when it's on my big ol' head anyway. So, moment of truth. I think this might help, but let's see. Okay, well, it definitely helped a lot, but it's still like loose on my head, but like it definitely fits a lot better. So what I think I'm gonna do is try to add elastic to it, and hopefully that's gonna help. But overall, I think it is like a lot better, and if it just had like, this was like stuck on my head better, it would work. Alright, I've got my elastic out. I have faith that this is gonna fix it. It looks really janky on the inside, but whatever. For once, it's not what's on the inside that counts, am I right? It's a while later. I had to take a little break to kind of reassess my plan and figure out what I was gonna do. I took the elastic slightly stretched to the size of what I want it to be, and cut the elastic, and then I pinned it in 4 spots around it. So I watched one video about how to sew. It was actually how to sew a waistband, but I was trying to figure out how to sew elastic without like a casing, which I've never worked with elastic before, so first time for everything. But yeah, I'm really hoping this works because I really want the project to turn out. So I've got it set to a zigzag stitch, and I think we're ready to sew, hopefully. I just finished sewing the elastic on, and I did already try it on, so I already know the final result, but it's time for me to show you. Well, this is not on head. As you can see, looks a lot more hat-like than pancake-like. Time for me to put it on. Beret time! It looks so much better. It's honestly not perfect, but you know, we did what we could. And I'm pretty happy. My first beret, it turned out decently. It actually fits my head and looks like a hat, so I'm gonna go look at it in a mirror and see if I can finagle it. That's such a good word, finagle. We need to bring that back. I flipped it around because the elastic was looking a little crazy on the other side, so now that's the back and no one has to see that. I'm ready to go to Paris, Betty, oui, baguette, je m'appelle. Anyway, definitely was so much harder than I thought it was gonna be. Basically, I thought it was gonna be way easier than it was. Apparently my French heritage did not come into play as much as I thought it would. Didn't help me out at all, apparently. I mean, I got a good, solid result, so maybe it did a little bit, but I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a big old like. I guess you can only give one size of a like, not really big. It's actually kind of small, honestly. But it means a lot to me. And comment anything you want to. Comment what I should make next. Comment any video ideas you want to see. Or anything that's on your mind. Subscribe if you're not already so you don't miss next week's video and every week after that. Anyway, that's all. Bye! Je m'appelle Baguette. Je m'appelle. Get out of here.